It's over. Now and forever. It's hard to believe this is it. All I have to do now is just turn it on. I wish that was all it took to bring her to life. But she isn't a sex doll, and she should not be thought of as one. She is supposed to be made in the image of a real human being, capable of so much more than just frivolous pleasures. To have the capacity to love and be loved. What? I know that. What kind of engineer would I be if I didn't have any idea of a thing I was working on? Let's make it a joke. Next to. Yeah, me too. Of course that was a joke. I was joking too. You got that right. Turn on as in arousing her. I know you meant turn on and turn the activation process. Sorry. I couldn't resist. You're so cute when you get it like that. In the room stands two subjects, a woman and her assistant, at their lies on the operating table in the center of the room. The room wasn't particularly spacious, overcrowded, almost like a junkyard is, just without the smell, or faster and industrious. Despite the clutter not denoting anything to celebrate, it was a momentous occasion, witnessed by only those with the eyes to see it. A fly on the wall would have been granted a great privilege to see such a historic vision finally realized, unaware of its importance, had there been one, that is. For no fly could have been present. Secure and sterile nature of this environment would have been eradicated upon entry. The woman and her assistant were the only moving beings in that room, devoid of outside interference. Peacefully, like a maiden dressed for her funeral. The machine before them lay still. The woman and her assistant lay on the cuffs of great innovation for humanity. This was but the first step for an entirely new era in the way people would intertwine their lives with their own creations. Until that day arrived where the vision will be fully realized. The day, month, and year of this moment was irrelevant. Only important as a passing memory in the pages of his history book yet to be written. The woman stood tall, clad in a long silken chest-length cape, tied with ribbon at the base of the neck, and a top hat, with a rim that clearly obscured her eyes to the point where it looked like she didn't have any. Renowned for her ingenuity, H.L.'s name was the one that carried a significant amount of prestige to it. Ambitious and mysterious, woman had a penchant for software development in regard to a robotic process. Not progress, I mean. Her assistant, X2, was practically a nobody in comparison. Despite being an engineering prodigy, she was but a speck of dust compared to the sheer spirit influence H.L. had cultivated. Much like a speck of dust, X2 didn't really stick out much as an individual, nor did the outside world really know of her presence in any capacity. Yet somehow, she had managed to pull H.L. in and establish more than just a working business relationship. Okay. H.L. will provide the mind, X2 will provide the body, in more ways than one. Duh. Of course I know that. I wouldn't have spent the last couple of months working on this with you if we were just making a high-tech sex doll. I mean, the powers that would be off their gore funding such a thing otherwise. True. But those investors don't know the half of it. I still can't believe the angle I had to pitch to convince them this was worth it. Society outside is in ruins. People are doing such unacceptable things with each other nowadays. Doesn't matter now. Our work is done. It's too late for them to retract their funding if this isn't what they had in mind. I wouldn't exactly say we're in the clear. She's just a prototype, so we need to see if she actually functions properly. Wait. Before we activate it, could I... What is it? My apologies, I know this may sound really corny and sappy, but can I make a sort of, take your time. I won't judge you. a sort of speech. No, it's just the two of us here though, right? Three of us. Three of us, of course. You count LYNDA. Why wouldn't I? She's meant to be as close to humanity as possible. Within reason. Isn't she? Still a robot. Don't you think that's not at least a little weird? If it weren't weird, we wouldn't have made what is essentially a girlfriend robot. Right? I get that. But it's our creation from the ground up. Kind of like, say, our child. You can't really be having doubts of or sort of a moral empathy now. Can you? Be late to consider we already built the darn thing. I mean, I didn't until you insisted on lumping it in with us. I didn't realize you were thinking about things that way. I think the idea of romancing what you consider my daughter would be a very strange way to put it. Daughter is a bit of a strong word. That's not what I meant by child. It gives it a way more personal connection than I'm comfortable with. It's not a door I think we should be opening at all. And maybe we could. It's just a robot. In your eyes, correct? Maybe for future models that is worth considering as an option. After all, there are people who enjoy that sort of roleplay. In the confines of their own space. Is anyone really getting hurt? I'm sure those hick investors would like that, wouldn't they? Disgusting old perverts. A lot of them. Suppose us, who are perverts in the good and correct way, we're our big, expansive brains. Perversion etched in every folded wrinkle within ours, while other perverts have brains smoother than a raw chicken breast. Personally, I'm more of a raw thing dies kind of gal. If their brains were truly smooth, how would they be able to communicate at all? I joke. It doesn't even make sense for your analogy. A child is a person, aren't they? They might not be fully capable of the same things their guardians are, but they still count as a person. Do they not? The lack of autonomy means nothing in the face of flesh and blood. She is birthed into the world, fully grown and knowledgeable. Compare her to someone who's awoken from a coma, ready to re-experience the world as it is now. Right? But LYNDA doesn't know that. Doesn't know anything. It's not a person. Well, not yet. She is alive as a corpse right now. How can it be a corpse if there's no life to begin with? It's akin to a personal property, it's an object. No matter how human this thing looks, it will never be one. I feel like you're missing the point. I think it's important for us to treat her like a person. That way she can be more naturally integrated into the lives of her users. If she is constantly ordered as being so vastly different from us, then how could she be an effective lover? Divorce ourselves entirely from the process of her conception, and the idea that she is but a robot. Extend your imagination and grace a little. I cannot promise I'll be able to do so with much success. It's a little off-putting is all I'll say. At the very least, consider it as part of my world. So please, I only ask you to make an effort for my sake. If anything. X2 knew what HL meant, but it was a hard pill for her to swallow. The last several months, X2 and HL had made LYNDA together. The ride was a culmination of their hard work, a testament to their cooperation and dedication. Sleepless nights spent together, fiddling with wires, and welding the metal that will make hopes and dreams come true. They had spent over 6 months within the bunker they can now call home, toiling away to see their creation through the end. The warm kiss of sunlight had not graced their bodies for so long. They had practically forgotten what it felt like evolving past the need for it. The tender tickles from a light breeze that teased their skin was a forgotten experience, replaced by the aggressive fondling of a loud AC unit that ran 24/7. This is what it was all for. They themselves decided to liberate their most basic human experiences to integrate into an artificial cycle to eradicate the most human thing of all, distraction. Every action, every decision, every break, it was purposeful. It wasn't just the future humanity realized within LYNDA, but also the ambitions and aspirations of HL. X2 did not share that vision. Rather, X2 worked to realize the ambitions of the woman she loved. It was an exercise in becoming closer, strengthening an unshakable bond between them. Or at least that's how X2 viewed it. HL was a brilliant mind, and X2 was happy to be the steel to their flint. Only that the fire they created left a burning hole in her heart. She only really had herself to blame, knowing deep down the way she felt was not reciprocated in the way she desired. HL was her whole world, but X2 was only one part of HL's. Much as it upset her, she didn't really think she had the right to feel that way. How could you compete with an ideal? How could you ever live up to the expectations of perfection? Tailor-made to be everything HL wanted. That's what LYNDA was. And X2 helped create that. The path she walked left the earth behind her scorched. You still have to make your speech. Sounds to me like she needs to let go and let be. It was a flash in the pan type thought. Forget about it. It wasn't that important or well planned out. That's a shame. Actually, can I make a request? What sort? Can we delay the launch? Delay? Pardon? Yes. I just don't. I'm not sure that. Are you nervous? No. Are you scared? I need more time. I'd like to give her joints and her chip placement one more look over before tomorrow. I want to really make sure that she's perfect. For you. For us. For the sake of our success. A bit cumbersome, don't you think? We've already sealed the synthetic skin over her core components. I would almost prefer it if she was left without any blemishes. But those antioxidants are... Okay. I will. Make sure she is refurbished more than adequately. Perfectly. I'm not sure if I can authorize you to do that. You can trust me. Can I? Yes. You trust me, don't you? What am I saying? Of course I can. I trust you with my life. X2. Well, mostly. Basement is still off limits. But I trust you with this. I wouldn't have chosen anyone else to work with me on making my vision become a reality if I didn't trust you to make the right call. You seem hesitant. Being playful. X2. I know reading my tone isn't the easiest for you, but it's never my intention to make you doubt yourself. I just want to reassure you of that. Right. Sorry. I don't think I'm feeling too great. Okay. I knew it. You're nervous. Nervous isn't the right word, but I feel something. It's not good. Well, you can't exactly say what it is. I can't exactly make it any better. I don't really need or want you to. Not right now, anyway. Okay. You scared she'll replace you? What? I get it. It's a very valid fear to have. You're my girlfriend. And I'm gonna be testing out the girlfriend's robot capabilities to love. Of course you'd be scared. I'm not jealous of it, HO. It's just a machine at the end of the day. And the AI can't replicate what we have. I'm confident in that assertion. Like, sure. It's got neuromorphic hardware with a system of why can't I say the word? Sympathetic? Yeah, I'll say the word. Nerves that fully replicate a human's reaction to stimuli. At the end of it all, though, it's just electric impulses being sent back and forth to attempt to replicate what we have. It's not the real thing. It's just an attempting to create an equivalent. It will never be the real thing. I'm fully aware that this is just a test before we do an open trial round with the public. If she doesn't meet the user's needs, simply go back and reverse her until she can. And then present it to the investors who will approve it for mass production. Etc. etc. You don't skip a beat, do you? If I did, I'll be betraying my own set of standards. They are very high, aren't they? Not that I'm complaining. If it weren't for your disciplining you, what you created wouldn't have come out even half as good. I want you to know, you're irreplaceable. X2. X2 bit her tongue. She wanted each other to promise her that she wouldn't fall in love with the robot. She wouldn't feel for the robot in the way she had never felt towards her. She was not open to a open relationship, even if it was with a machine. But the words could not form and lingered at the back of her mouth. She didn't want to accuse HL of potentially doing such things. She had to just have faith that everything HL displayed towards the robot was inauthentic. X2 did not want to vocalize the fact that she was jealous of LYNDA, and in spite of the fact nothing had happened yet. She had no reason to believe the woman who she loved would turn her back on her for the sake of some toy. Because that's what LYNDA was in X2's eyes. Nothing more. A gimmick. A plaything. Some toy. A very complex toy with a lot of parts simultaneously coming together to create an experience. But still just some toy. Yeah. Sorry for doubting you. She was lying. She doubted her. X2 had nothing but doubt clouding her mind. Even if HL had never shown interest in anyone else but her, the allure of the shiny new toy in front of them was surely tempting. And making it worse by just standing around. Maybe. It's not too much of an ask. I like to do the last check on LYNDA alone. You know, it's not healthy to be stuck alone with your thoughts. Bottling things up only causes them to leak out or explode. Don't therapy speak me, HL. Maybe I can decide for myself what I need. And what I think is best for the project. Very well then. I'll see you in bed when you're done. I love you. I love you too. Hollow, empty, shallow words. Instead of I love yous, flaky, like the shed of skin of a cicada. Hate cicadas. Left behind is left over what was once the genuine and true article, now replaced by something newer, denser. Was the love the same as it once was? No. How could it be? Heart be like an instant chirping. Space now love in HL's absence could be instantly felt by X2. HL left without protest. She left and said her expected ritual words of adoration. A socially acceptable thing to do. She left and that was that. X2 felt empty. She knew what she had said wasn't agreeable. And surely wouldn't have been an offensive thing to insinuate. But nothing. It didn't feel right that HL didn't get defensive. And instead just immediately understood, giving her word as a promise. Almost like HL could read her mind. Was X2 that obvious? Was it written on her face? Was conflict what X2 wanted? Is that why she felt so... nothing? See a blade of grass again, a shade of vibrant green in any capacity, the lack of it fueling an inch for drama just as artificial as the titanium that surrounded her. No, Just something genuine, something real. Didn't feel that way to X2. That's why the assistant yearned for above all else. Was up to X2 to want to exert the boundary of monogamy? She mulled over in her mind. Joe was always a strange, promiscuous woman that odd in her flirtations. Her eyes would wander constantly, but never bothered X2 before. And she was confident nothing would come of it. And she was aware that there were some things she simply could not provide for HO. At first, X2 thought that HO simply had a fetish for robots, for robotics, an robotic cold steel and sleek aesthetic of something recognizably human. You're crossing the valley of the uncanny. Robots don't argue back or react in a way that she's, well, not she, but that's unexpected. Unless they're broken. Their makeup was beautiful and precise, unlike the human body filled with organs, bones, and veins. Robot was constructed in a way where the exact origin could be pinpointed to the atomic level. There was no mystery as to where a robot came from or who made it and why. Everything is made with a human's purposeful vision in mind. No matter how close it got to the real equivalent, it doesn't grow from nothing. It's created by someone for a reason. There's nothing open-ended about it at all. Robots don't get unexplained illnesses or have bad memories or fail for no reason, even if it seems like they fail for no reason. There's always one. Well, yeah, there's always a reason. Cosmic Ray could flip a single bit integer and the whole thing could malfunction. Cosmic Ray may be unexplainable, but the makeup of the robot always will be. The understanding of a robot can be boiled down to an explanation without any gaps. In many ways, perhaps a robot, or even being a robot, would be an ideal for someone like X2. Someone who hated surprises or lack of regularity in people. Something about it never sat right way by her. Something about it made her angry. Predictability that should have been a comfort frustrated her. In many ways, she was predictable. X2 would always avoid confrontation, and she hated conflict, so anything that bothered her, she just wouldn't speak her mind on. Joe could read her like a picture book, but she struggled to do the same in turn. Joe was written in fanciful prose, hard to decipher in layers of colorful symbolism X2 wasn't able to understand. It overwhelmed her. Consequences were something to fear, as the unknown was a conflict that reached the very core of her being. It should have never been unkind to her, and yet she was afraid. No, afraid was not the right word. She felt a mental block, like she physically could not cross that boundary for herself. Her whole body would tense up and refuse to move. One could perhaps compare it to a wall being placed in front of her, and only her. Lowering on one of the bed's side rails, X2 sat in silence without moving an inch. She didn't actually have any intention of tinkering with the robot at all. To call on with aberration would also be false. She wasn't there to ogle the presence of perfection itself, unlike HO. She hated it. She hated everything it represented and what it would represent. It was a well and truly disturbing now that the finished reality was properly in front of her. Perfection like that shouldn't exist. She hated how pretty she found Linda to be. And as perfectly sculpted face, devoid of any blemish of wear from the insufferable march of time. She had how much love she poured into the creation of this thing when she felt nothing but the devil's malice towards it. She hated that there was nothing she could do about it. Or was there? X2 got searched about the room. Square material for the construction of LYNDA lay strewn across her field of view, from various wires to exotic metals. A lot went into the making of a false idol. A golden calf to be worshipped. Complicated circuit board that had been continually swapped out. Several different kinds of batteries to charge up LYNDA's core. It was a spit in the face of worship of all things truly human. Maybe there was something there could be of use. Stu could picture it vividly in her mind. Arms above her head, she's swinging down, an object of significant weight. Striking down with all the force mustered from her resentment towards what lay before her. Destroy the vessel of perfection before I had even opened his eye to probably wake up for the first time. Playing it over and over and over in her head while she searched around, unreading history that has yet to be written. Time itself could diverge at this very moment. She begs to indulge in her righteous fantasy. The soft, delicate face, resting peacefully, defiled, deformed beyond recognition. Her chest once blossoming forth, the bosom to be X2's great envy, caved in until the facade of humanity was broken. Swelled like its sorry attempt to mimic the familiar. Its arms, its legs, its figure with more bends than the person should have. The metal piping that held the structure together, split. Anesthetic fibers keeping it all together, pulling into a thick mush. No bones, no blood. Recalling it would be false. It would not be a glorious sight, but a reclamation for mankind. Something like this should not exist. A cathartic thought for sure to get rid of the world of something so hideous in conception. The greatest sin of man was the desire to reach perfection and overthrow the principles that made them man. Peeking out from one of the drawers, glimpse in the corner of X2's eye, ejecting from her the fantasy of destruction, back to reality of creation. An object, a tool, a blowtorch. X2's impromptu plan had been to find something heavy to smash her wide into pieces. A blowtorch would sear off the sorry excuse for skin to replicate that of a person, and perhaps meld various components into each other, ruining the vision of beauty entirely. Recognizable as human in any way. It certainly was an option. She actually don't do it. Blowtorch will leave less of a mess and be quieter overall. It is normally used for the sake of a tinker. There was no buzz of excitement to this task. For all the fantasy she did of how she would destroy LYNDA, as she motioned the blowtorch closer and closer to the surface of the skin, she found her grip tighten and her hand shaking. Of course, the process of destruction would make her nervous. She wasn't supposed to be doing this. She had lied to the woman she loved for what? Exactly. Because she envied her own creation. Much as LYNDA was HL's brainchild and concept, it could not be underestimated just how much work X2 had also put into bringing LYNDA to her current state of completion. Was she really about to throw it all away due to her paranoia? Was she? That, unable to trust the word of someone who promised the inevitable wouldn't happen? She was special, after all. That was what HL said about X2. Would doing this hurt that? And if X2 could cover up her handiwork of destruction, maybe claim a rogue fire broke out, or some ill-fated accident occurred, would it be worth it? No. That risk? The flame in front of her glowed brightly and the air became warm. Was this a moment of madness for her? Yes. What was she doing, really? Behind the mask, she quietly sobbed to herself. She was afraid of losing what she had. Don't do it! Okay. Almost as quick as it was conceived, her plan was aborted. And she could not bring herself to do it. It wasn't worth it. She was a coward. She could not, well, she could threaten to light a match, with fear scraping one against the striking surface, lest the flame spread to her fingers. No amount of resentment towards LYNDA will allow her to disturb the foundation of security X2 had attained with HL. Even if the relationship felt like it was hanging by a stretched spool of thread sometimes, it wasn't really one she wanted to cut. not over something so significant in the face of their greater relationship. X2 thought she knew within herself that if she was distrustful and paranoid. Things she assumed were not reality. Maybe even borderline hysterical and delusional. The woman she loved would not leave her for something made of wire and plastic. The relationship had blossomed over a long period of time, so a month of testing the capability of something without a soul would not undo what had become before. That was a logical way to view it. She could not help but feel defeated. Unable to conquer the sleeping machine before her while it was defenseless, docile. Her emotions were to flare up again. It would be so much more difficult to carry out the things she would come to regret not nipping in the bud. Should those circumstances arrive, she gathered that it would be a problem for the future her to deal with. In the present time, it was not worth it. Nope. That I will be exhausted too. Say, make sure nothing crazy happens. She hadn't even done much today. It should have been a day of celebration, completion, even. She gone through a whole 4 seasons worth of emotions, and now there was nothing but the worry that shook her to her core. And the ability of the next day rolling around filled her with dread. X2 was sad and tired. No, she retreating back to the bedroom she shared with HL felt like hanging up the white flag. That presence between the two would bring her no comfort. HL and X2 slept in the same bed, but they didn't have sex anymore, or cuddle. Sue knew it was her own fault in a way, because she didn't want it. She used to love being the little spoon, feeling HL's warmth wrapped around her, keeping her safe. But as LYNDA reached closer to completion, the hug felt less of one of genuine comfort and more like a tired obligation for HL. It didn't feel the same. It's not a routine she wanted to return to. What was the alternative, though? Sleep out on her own beside the thing that brought her nothing but anguish? On the cold and forgiving floor surrounded by trash? Perhaps. It fit her outlook on things. End of scene 1. Okay. Put that menu. Yes, no. Yeah, it's that menu. It's a good time as any. Honestly, since we are done with scene 1. So y'all can at least see the menu, actually, because I don't think I showed that to y'all. But this is 2 can play at this game. As you can see, X2 is a bit internally tormented. There's something going on between her and HL in terms of artificial and reality, in terms of what's going on between them two. It does make you think about just like AI and robots, how everything's evolving and what that's gonna look like in the future. Thought I heard something. But yeah, so that is my interpretation of it so far. Here are the credits. So if y'all are curious about that, there is that. And yes, because we still call it Twitter, not X. But I'm gonna end it here. If y'all are curious about this game, of course, everything will be in the description below for y'all to play this. If not, that's totally fine. If y'all did like the video, please don't hesitate to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And that being said, I'm just gonna end it here. So if y'all had a good day, a good yesterday, and better tomorrow, and I will catch y'all in the next video.